Welcome to the Leedz Edutainment Podcast, featuring in-depth interviews with people in hip-hop culture, based out of New England. Leeds. It's good, brother.
What's up, Leeds, man? Long time, baby.
I'm trying to think how long it's been.
I mean, I ran into you, I think, at one of the shows last year, but it was just like a quick thing. But I was around. I wasn't in Triple Threat or anything like that, but I was around back then. I was around when they were like doing like the shows and stuff, and then I had my own I had my own thing. I was Fame Flint, and then we did a show. I participated. I performed on one of your shows, and then I went away, and then my life got crazy, and then yeah, that was really it. So I've known you for I've known what Leedz I know what Leedz has been since Amalgam Digital and all that.
Oh yeah, so we go back.
Yeah, I've known what Leedz is, you know.
Fame Flint. Now that name rings a bell. That rings
Yeah.
a bell now. Yes. And on that note, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Leedz Edutainment Podcast. We've got a very special guest today, Mr. EXITFAME, formerly Fame Flint.
Yeah, there you go.
Jarring my memory today, but it's been great to have you on here, man. And thanks for making time. You've been making a lot of good moves, a lot of positive message out there. So I was like, I gotta get this guy on here.
I appreciate you, brother.
You know, you talk about Triple Threat, man. Oh man, those days were crazy. Shout out Jay Hunt. I forget the three names in the group.
It was
help me out.
Yeah, it was Brass, Winner, and Ren. Yeah.
For those who don't know, let's give a little background on Triple Threat, because they were a staple for a minute. It was a short minute, but it was a good, strong minute.
Yeah. I want to say that was. Oh, I don't remember the year, the timeline, but yeah, they had the Boston Symphony, and a lot of the rappers, like they was doing one of the, I mean, you had the RSOs and all that, but from my standpoint, from what I've seen, it was like one of the when the Locks was like hot, and for Boston to have that sound where lyrics and bars were being delivered and it didn't sound like corny or anything, like around that era. So yeah, like they were it was something different at that time. Definitely.
Yeah, they came out swinging, and then the group broke up. What exactly was the reason? I know someone went away, but what was the exact reasons why they just stopped making music?
I mean, that from I don't know the exact nature of everybody's things. I think people went to, each one of them, I think, went to jail, and street stuff was involved, and fallouts with management. And that was a time like where things were changing drastically. Like the internet was coming in, like think like the platforms and everything was coming in, and it was like that consistency in that era, that time. So it just, once the person, like even me, Fame Flint, the minute I went away and I made my bad choices, next, so
right.
That's how it happens with that. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, that's all good. What you got in your hand there? What's that orange thing you got in your hand?
Oh, nah, they got these little candies. I was eating some of them.
Oh, yeah. All right. I wasn't sure what that was.
I was eating candy.
Are you born and raised in Roxbury?
Yep. My streets half Roxbury, half Dorchester. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me about growing up there.
It all comes down to choices out here. Just because you're in a situation and you're amongst poverty and the craziness that you hear about, it doesn't have to be your path. There's a lot of people that are not involved in street activity, but for the most part, there's things out there, the drugs, the violence, the gangs, and all that kind of stuff. That is all there. But for a child, you know what I mean? I'm born and raised here. For a child that lost his brother at a young age, and a lot of now that I realize codependency, being lonely, like being an attention seeker, I was a follower. So I gravitated towards, you know what I mean, what I felt was cool. And I've been hip hop influenced since I was a child. And you know, like, we come from that era where what you rap about is what you live about. So it was almost like, for me, what I'm listening to, I should be living. You know, I was very influenced as a child. So, but out there in Boston, man, it's just like those type of choices. And it's like, you know, the drugs, the gangs, the stuff, and the prostitution, like, that's always been there. And I don't think it's ever going to go away, but it's choices, you know. All right. I don't
So
know.
you
I
made,
hope that answers it.
so it sounds like you made some bad choices.
Absolutely.
So you, so
Years
you,
of bad choices.
so you got sucked into the streets, basically, from what I'm gathering.
Yes. Yep. Got
And
made.
how long were you running on the streets for?
Um, that started, I guess you can say, that started like around like 13, 14-ish, and the DYS stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I caught my real first big case when I was about 16. And then, you know, I was with the big boys, going to jail, fell into that youthful offender law. And you know, it's just years of making bad choices. I mean, years, man. I haven't you know, I'm 38 now, you know, and just coming up on 5 years sober. Um I didn't start making good choices for my life until about the age of 33 and a half, 34. So just years of making poor choices, you know.
So explain that to me. You make a bad choice, you get sent to jail, you come out. What makes you want to make another bad choice like that again?
So before I got involved in drugs, I was involved in the streets and the gangs and all that kind of stuff. And then like I told you, being the follower and being that type of person, easily influenced and seeking attention, like that class clown behavior, you know what I mean, that followed me. So what happens is, they have a term called arrested development. And some say, not, this probably doesn't apply for everybody, but most people, the age that you went in at is the age you get out at mentally. It's like your life just pauses. You know what I mean? If you're not in there reading, doing the work, and bettering yourself and educating yourself, or taking the classes and all that kind of stuff, your your thinking patterns, it's not like you change. You might learn a couple of things in there, but what life exposed you to, where you were at, it's like that. So then you get out from however long you was in there, if you're blessed enough to get out, and life, you know what I mean, life is still there, you know what I mean. Like, for anybody watching this interview or anything, we know people that are incarcerated, and the clock never stopped moving, you know what I mean. And it's like, you come right back out, bills exist, responsibilities exist. If you're a father, you know what I mean, or a mother, for those females that get locked up, the kids still need to be raised, think responsibilities still have to be done. And this economy, in this world, man, unfortunately, money, the economic system and all that kind of stuff is something you need to have. And then it's like the obstacles, because of your poor choices, it might be hard to find employment. You might not have a trade, you might not have a college education, you might not have these things. So what ends up happening is there's a word called recidivism, and you fall back into old patterns. You fall back, and then you end up being either a repeat offender, some die trying, you know what I mean, and then you fall into those ways of trying to get money. What the numerous ways that I guess the word crime can provide for those. And most of the time, no one's successful at it, and you find yourself in a situation where your freedom's on the line again, and more time for your life is taken away, more time from your family, more time for your kids. And before you know it, man, it's just like life just passed you by, and you stayed stuck at whatever point it was. I hope that made sense.
No, it makes absolute sense. You know, it's like a vicious cycle that you get
Yeah,
stuck in.
it's vicious, man.
Yeah. So you talked about being clean and sober. You got hooked on drugs too.
Yeah, man. And we come from a community and out here in Roxbury, Dorchester, Boston, South End, you know what I mean? Whatever, Jamaica Plain. It's like you come from a place where you're we're supposed to be the hustlers, I do, hip hop is religious for me. Like being the user is never the cool thing, you know what I mean? It's like we're the dealers, we're the hustlers, like, you know what I mean? What's portrayed. And for me, I didn't get involved in drugs until a late age after my father died. I got involved, I want to say 27, 28. That's when I started using, and heavy drug use like started my last year of using. Like it was bad, like around at the age of 32, 33. Yeah, I could be messing the timeline up a little bit, but it was something like that. Yeah.
So you just, you talk about the stigma of like you be the hustler, but don't be the addict, right? Don't be the
Right.
customer. That was a huge, I remember that. Like it wasn't for a long time. Like you couldn't really talk about using hardcore drugs in hip hop. It's okay to sell them, but if you were using them, you were outed.
Yeah.
Talk about dealing with that.
I mean, when I was involved in rap, I was on the other side of things, you know what I mean? I
Right.
was I was never the user, and I went through some stuff. I went through some stuff, man, and I ended up losing my dad from the stuff that I was selling. He went into my stuff, long story short. I found him dead, you know what I mean, from using the stuff that I was selling. And I felt like I killed
Ooh.
my dad, man. I felt like just the guilt, my mother's love and all that kind of stuff. And before you know it, I just stopped caring. I just stopped caring. And I think your question was the stigma. I went I walked the in the shoes of the other world, and then now I was on this side of the fence. You know what I mean? I've been on both sides of the fence. So it was, well, you didn't ask me that question, so I'm not gonna get into that part yet. But yeah,
Feel free. Just we can just roll with
Oh,
it. Just
okay,
roll.
okay, okay,
Roll
okay.
with whatever you say, whatever you feel. We
Yeah,
don't. We don't.
I'm
We
I'm
don't
all
stick.
stop. I'm stopping and stuff.
No,
My
no,
fault.
no, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no. You were talking about your dad, and dude, I mean, man, that's a tough hit right there.
Right.
How did you get over that? How did you come to grips with that mentally?
I mean, a lot of drug use,
Well, that's
started
not going
with
to work. Eventually,
no,
that's
no,
going
but this, I mean,
to.
but it's so crazy, man, because a person like me that was doing the crimes, that the type of stuff that I was doing and the level of time, I got 17 years in the system. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
The level of crimes and the things that I were doing, it was only a matter of time that recidivism that I explained earlier, it was only a matter of time before either I died or got a life sentence. So I tell this in interviews and podcasts and stuff in my story in my book that's inevitably coming out. Me using drugs saved my life. It was because I went from this I went from these serious crimes and living this way. Like I've been shot in this process, stabbed in this process, like going through these serious things, to a charge of larceny under 250. You know what I mean? Like I became what you see on Mass Ave, Blue Hill Ave. You know what I mean? Like I became those people that you see just outside. It's like they're really harmless, but they're eyesores. You know what I mean? No one really thinks about them. You know what I mean? And it's like they ask you for change, they ask you for money, or it looks like they're up to no good. But it's not like, you know what I mean? Like you're worried about them. And I became that. And the question that you ask, you know what I mean? How did I get over that? A lot of numbing in the beginning process. It was a lot of numbing with the perk 30, the cocaine, and then it turned into sniffing dope. And then in the end, you know what I mean, smoking crack. And then it was like during the process, I was introduced to treatment centers. I was introduced to detoxes. I was introduced to counselors. I was introduced to therapy work. And during my little stints of getting sober, You know what I mean? Not willingly. You know, it's like you got to look at yourself and you got to like, and once you get in some type of information, for a person like me, I don't forget about it. And yeah, so it was like I knew where to turn to when life got hard. You know what I mean? We have sayings like being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And when it got like that for me, and I went to treatment, I knew where to go. I knew what to do. Like, and then it was like it was just a choice of you can't do this for your kids, you can't do this for nobody else, and you got to begin this process. And doing this recovery work, we have a 12-step process, and we work with each other. We go to meetings, we share our pain, and it's like you end up finding people, you know, who understand that. And then, you know, I'm a spiritual person, so I brought a lot of my stuff to God, and then it was just like doing work on myself and realizing that my father suffered from what I suffered from. My father suffered from addiction the way I suffered from addiction, and we do believe it is a disease. And in the end of the day, he made a choice. You know, very good man, functional addict, took care of me. You know, you know, but in a weak moment, he made a choice and it cost him his life. And I understood that despite me having stuff in the house and despite whatever the case may have been, I didn't kill my dad. And it was like I had to go through a process where I forgave myself. And, you know, I was just isolated from the world and I was really working on me. I was working out, I was writing raps again. And it was like, you just started feeling better about yourself without the cloud, and love and support from the people, from your family and the community and stuff like that. Like people believed in you and they were supporting you and egging you on. The only person that felt that guilt was me. It wasn't like people were feeling that, you know what I mean? And I told you I'm a spiritual person, you know what I mean? So I feel like the dark entities and devil has a way of keeping you in that way. So that's how it was for me, man. You know, and 2019, I made that choice on August 3rd to never go back. And here we are coming up on August 3rd, 2024. And God willing, I make it to that point. I'll have 5 years sober of everything. I don't drink, I don't smoke weed, I don't obviously do the hard stuff like I used to. And yeah, man. So it's a forgiving process, a healing process, and learning who you are, learning how to heal that inner child from a lot of things that have happened to you, because a lot of the stuff that I was going through is just because of that little kid, like I told you, that was a follower and was willing to do anything for acceptance and praise. So yeah, I hope that made sense.
Yeah, yeah. I want to go back to what, after everything you've been through, being on the streets, and what was the bottom moment for you to finally say, I'm going to get sober? Like, what was the moment that, like, I'm going to take sobriety serious? Because it sounds like you had a lot of trial back and forth before that happened. What was that moment when you're like, now I got to really do this?
So we have a not I mean, it's not just recovery, but in life we got something called rock bottom.
Right.
And my rock bottom was a spur of moments. It wasn't just like one thing. I had a situation with my mom in the car where me and my son's mother, who I was using with, robbing and doing all kind of stuff, and you know what I mean, her selling herself and doing all these kind of things. And I would just remember, I come from good people, you know what I mean? I don't come from street people. I mean, addiction ran in my family and all that kind of stuff, but I come from hardworking people. Like my bloodline is hardworking people. And my mother's a church going woman, and I got in the car with her and she had gospel music playing. And I knew I was raised in the church, you know what I mean? Like I was, as a child, I was an usher in the church. I was in the choir. Like I've been saved numerous times. Like I'm a Morning Star Baptist Church kid in Mattapan, you know what I mean? Like that was my second home. So I'd always knew my roots. Like when I was in trouble, I would know who to go to. But there was this day inside of her car playing gospel music and seeing the look on her face. And I just remember like I had a clicking moment inside of her car. And I think I still went to go get high and stuff that day, but something happened in that car where the guilt and the conviction was hitting me. And then I had another moment where, again, being sick and tired and being sick and tired. And I walked from like Lynn to Boston, man. And I was just like, I think my mom called me and she was like, yeah, she was like, the police came to the house looking for you. The police came to your house looking for you. You know, you can't come back here. And I had no money. The love of my life, who I thought my son's mother ran off with somebody else. Like I was just down in the dumps, man. But I knew I can go to treatment. And that was a surrendering moment for me. Like enough was enough. I was just done. I was just, you get mentally exhausted. Like, you know, I was beat down. And then I had a moment while in treatment in 2019, because my sober date should have been July 3rd, but I made a bad choice in August, and that's why my clean date is August 3rd. And that night I had a moment when I went back to the place, and I just had to admit what I did. And then within a 2-week process, within a 2-week process, there was a group of people that came in just to do a group and a presentation to some addicts and alcoholics trying to get their lives together. And this particular group showed babies being born with withdrawals and stuff like that on a video. And my son's mother at the time just got sectioned. She's handcuffed to a bed because she got warrants. I'm in treatment and she's pregnant. You know what I mean? Like 8 months, 9 months pregnant, about to give birth. Yeah, 9 months pregnant, about to give birth. And they was explaining, you know, while a mom uses while the baby's inside, you know, they feel everything that the mom feels. And these babies that are born drug addicted and stuff like that, you know, like they're like the size of, you know what I mean, like this remote, and they twitch and all this kind of stuff. And that scared the shit out of me. You know, I've been shot numerous times, stabbed, and all these years in jail, my dad died, and nothing really scared the shit out of me. But this moment, something scared the shit out of me. And I'm like 2 weeks clean, or going on 2 weeks a little bit. And I prayed, man. I just wanted to have a healthy baby boy. I didn't want him to go through that. And August 11th, despite all odds, you know what I mean, and beating the odds, he was born completely healthy, and he wasn't one of those kids I seen in that movie. And I just, you know what I mean, I felt like that was God just telling me I did my part. Now it's time for you to do your part. So I had like little moments of stuff going on that were just like where, you know what I mean, a lot of prayers was helping, and finally fighting my hardest to make some good choices, it was actually working. Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Crazy.
So you get clean, you get sober. When do you get back into the music?
During that whole process, even in jail, I always was writing. That was just an outlet for me. But I would say about 60 to 90 days. See, what happens when you're using, what happens, like, the things of the real world don't matter anymore. Social media, music, food, you know what I mean? Like, these things don't matter. So what ended up happening to me, you get sober and you get clean, and they say, you know, after 120 days, you can't get no cleaner. Now it's time to start doing recovery work. But anyhow, I'm in a halfway house. I get a phone again, you know. I start seeing, you know, people like Millie's. I start seeing people like Smoke Bulger and a few other people from music from when I was Fame, Flint, like, and I'm seeing that their dreams have flourished. And it was like, wow, that could have been me. And then I'm just seeing all the new type of music, and I'm catching up on things. And it was like, you know, I start putting YouTube beats in, and I just start writing again. And understanding hip hop, like we talked about in the beginning, being the user was never cool. It's kind of changing now, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
you know, but being the user was never cool. In the class that I come from, how are you gonna come back out and be hip hop? And like, you can't be Fame Flint, you can't, you know what I mean? So it was like I'm being reborn, you know, my sober date, and I'm finding out things about myself, and it was like I gotta recreate an artist. And I remember listening to the kid, rest his soul, XXXTentacion. I was listening to DMX, listening to a lot of music, but those people, and then understanding what the X meant. And I remember one day, you know, I was just writing these raps, and I didn't know how I should write. I know I can always write about my pain and all that kind of stuff, but do I really want to go out there and say I smoked crack or I stole from my mother's purse? Like, it was like, you know, sometimes you would just walk away, like maybe this ain't it what it is. And then I seen 8 Mile, and I seen a scene with Eminem where the character that he was playing, he uses all of his lowest moments and all of his embarrassing stuff, and he uses it as an advantage in a rap battle. And I just had another like awe moment, and it was like, all right, so I need to use all my pain and put that out there. And I've always been Fame. That's my nickname from my neighborhood. But it was like that X from seeing all them, and I don't know. I think I seen an exit sign. It was really that simple, and it was like Exit Fame. And then I made it a meaning for it. It was just, you know, Exit Fame. It's just I really just need to be me making music, and my real name is Eric. So it's like I exit Fame to enter myself, and it's just being me, trying to be me as possible, and don't get caught up in the stuff. So, and that's where he was born. That's where it started, 2019, and then COVID hit. We started getting money for stuff, and you can get on an airplane at that time for like $90 and go to Los Angeles, you know. And I just started running around shooting music videos all over the place. I got a camera guy who wasn't scared to come outside because of COVID. And I went crazy, man. I went crazy with content. I went crazy with stuff, and some stuff did good, some stuff didn't. And before you know it, man, I had a little catalog built, and I haven't stopped, you know what I mean, since then. I haven't stopped dropping a video every month since then, and making projects, you know what I mean, and trying to collaborate. And then it just keeps, you keep level. Long as you understand marketing and understanding this shit, it's like trying to find the right path in building your brand. So that's where I'm at now with it. And that was the creation of Exit Fame.
Talk to me about some of the highlights over the last 5 years, some of these key moments in your music career.
Key moments for me have been meeting rappers, man, that I grew up listening to, like meeting people like Jadakiss and others, man. You know what I mean? Those, to some people, you know what I mean, that's nothing. But from a person like me, and I come from a city where this stuff always kind of seemed kind of magical, you know what I mean? Those were huge moments for me. Just people receiving you and respecting you as an artist. New people who have no idea who I used to be or anything like that, and just receiving you, and people actually, you know what I mean, wanting to support you just unconditionally for your music. That's pretty cool too, man. That's never taken for granted. And then I don't know, man. I've had some highlights. I've done some things, but I don't know. I pray the best is yet to come. You know.
So it's fair to say that Jadakiss is your top 5 dead or alive. Is that what it's saying?
I've had this debate, and
Ooh.
I'm biased now. I'm biased now. Like, yes, because sometimes you can meet people that you've listened to your whole life, and then you can meet them, and then it can ruin it because they're not what you thought, or it's whatever the case may be. Whatever happens, happens. And then you meet people like him, and it's like, yo, this dude's really cool. Like, he's like really down to earth. You know what I mean? So that's a biased this opinion for me. So yeah, man. Yeah, he's definitely there, top 5 for me. And to be the age, man, and still be relevant and to hold that respect. Yeah, definitely.
You also, I saw on your social media, you met Dave East too.
Oh yeah, I've met East a few times. I've met East a few times. We've been trying to get something going for a little bit now. I believe it's gonna happen. It's just about timing, but he's not a bad dude either. You know what I mean? He's one of the good ones. Yeah.
Cool. You just dropped a new album, Exit Hell, right?
Yes, sir. Exit Hell. Yep.
Talk to me about making this album.
Um, 11 tracks. I collaborated with a Boston producer. She goes by the name of Mel Go Hard. You know, she's done some things. She got some accolades, Boston Music Awards, New England Music Awards. She's worked with some people and stuff like that. And I've done a lot of music as Exit Fame, and I can't you get to that point where it's like you want to make your sound, like you're trying to find out who you are and original music and learning the business, the ASCAP and the BMI. And this was basically, you'll see stuff on people's projects like LP, mixtape, or project, and it's like studio album. And I think this was one of my first projects where I own the music. You know, these beats, there is nobody in the world who has these beats. You know what I mean? Like, and I have a series called May God Be With Yous, and I got a couple of other things under Exit Fame, but I've always been just telling the story. I mean, I got a lot of stories, and it was just always the albums. When you would listen to these projects, everything was all over the place. I was just trying to have something that was one theme, something that is ours, and pushing this as a real project. And we come from that era. We come from that era with music where having 24 songs on a project was normal. That has changed. So it was like I wanted to make a project where a person can, the average highway ride in Boston is about 30 minutes to 40 to 30 minutes. Something that you could listen to in the entirety of that time, everywhere you're going, and trying to shoot to something that somebody wants to replay. And try to be different and make some concepts, touch the neighborhood, touch the community, put lyricism and bars in there, and try to put a complete project together of an emotional roller coaster. And yeah, that was Exit Hell. You know, we always critique ourselves after. I think we hit that mark, and I know I can do better now. So here we go again, you know, but Exit Hell, yeah.
On the cover, you got like arrows, right? Like one going to hell and one
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to
yeah.
heaven, right?
Yeah. At like the highway to hell, you know what I mean? And exit hell, because for me, my life has been hell, literally. I've been through it. It's not fake, it's not made up. Um, yeah, man. All together, 17 years in, all together in the system, and about 9 years on drugs, and you know what I mean? And yeah, nine, so, yeah, about that time. So I'm 38 now, man. It's like half your life, man. You know what I mean? Basically devoted to, you know what I mean, just poor choices. So I think hell is a mindset. I think hell is a mentality. Like you'll hear a person like, "This is hell. I'm in hell," and I've been through a lot of versions of hell as a human being. So I found a way out. I believe I'm still finding more ways out of it. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to share that with people, and that's what I'm doing. It's Exit Hell, man. You know.
You ever feel like using again?
Um, I bel you have thoughts. You have thoughts. You know what I mean? These were euphorias that I pray a human that's never touched it never has to experience. You always have thoughts. Like I hear people at meetings like I haven't thought about using. I'd be like, I don't know where they're at, but
Yeah.
just walking by somebody in Dudley and they're smoking a stem, it's just human nature. I think about it. You know, it's like, wow, like I remember the feelings. I'm around people, you know, I work in recovery. I see people, and it's just always a thought. But then I just think about you it's one or the other for me. Because the music, Exit Fame, and doing all this kind of stuff, me even doing an interview like this, if I'm using this doesn't exist. I watch Fame Flint go right down the toilet, you know? So I love this, man, and this is something I've always wanted to do. And being this age and being on, and when I was on drugs, I didn't think it was possible. So for people to even be taking me seriously and respecting my craft and giving me opportunities, it's different for me, man. I really appreciate it. And I'll take this over getting high any day, you know?
Yeah. I'm sober 15 years myself.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't want to cop short. April 11th, I'll have 15 years.
You
So
know that, God willing.
I applaud your journey. I was late night. I was driving through Dudley the other day, late night, and people getting in a fight like around midnight, just on the street, drunk, screaming at each other.
Right,
It's just the madness, right?
right.
Or like Mass and Cass and that whole madness down there. What do you
Yeah,
see now when you drive by the madness now, or you walk by it? What do you think?
man. I hate to sound desensitized because these things like where we live, it's almost like it's supposed to be a part of the streets, you know. And I don't judge. I just don't judge. And for me, being that I was there, my outlook is different. It's just like
Right.
I see it and immediately I'd be like, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. But if I ever have the chance of the encounter with one who's active, you know, I just let them know that I've been there. And it's if I'm like, listen, if I can do this, you can do it, man. I just, you know, it is a tough process. And I just try to encourage it for people. But when I see it and I'm just driving by, I get it. You know, I don't judge, I get it, you know. That's really what I would have to say about it.
That's a tough thing not to do, judge. A lot of people judge, and a lot of people just think that these people, homeless people on the street, drug addicts on the street, are there because they want to be there, and it's not always the
Right.
case.
This was not the plan when I first got high. This was supposed to be a
No,
good time.
no,
And it probably was a good time in the beginning,
sure,
you know?
but that it's just what we have is such a an epidemic on our hands. It's and a lot of
I
people
don't know
don't
if this is
understand
I
it.
don't yeah, I don't even know if this is still a fact yet, but there was a time for a lot of years where Massachusetts was the capital for fentanyl overdose.
Yeah,
Like,
it surpassed car accidents and teenage deaths.
right, where I don't know the numbers if it's accurate, but I know within 2 years ago we were number one for that, you know?
And why is that? Why is Massachusetts and
I
fentanyl
don't
going
know,
together?
bro. I don't
We're on the
know.
coast. We're on the coast.
I was getting high when I remember when I remember when fentanyl first came around, you know what I mean? And I don't know, you know, like I got out just in time, thank God. But that question I don't know why we are. That's weird.
Yeah.
Something to make you think about.
So what do you got new on the horizon?
As we speak right now, this year has been about last year was about direction for me, finding out what I should be doing. I spent a lot of time chasing the wrong things, but on the horizons, branding, online store, seeing how far we can take this brand, never go back, exit hell, because I made it a brand too. This is one of
Yeah,
the
I see it.
prototypes, one of the
Nice.
prototypes. But I got another design. My online store is basically done. I just want it to be right. So it's like we're not putting it out yet. Like I have merchandise and things ready to go, but we're gonna do an official launch. We didn't get to do a release party. So we're gonna do a online store merchandise release party. So um I fell back with like doing the features and trying to make this real thing. Like I'm putting my money in putting my money into this LLC, and really I want to see what this can do. But meanwhile, I did get a little contract with CES. I performed for an MMA fight UFC, and I'm asked back in May 3rd. I am in talks with Celtics trying to do a halftime show, but the playoffs is coming, so it's getting sticky. Um, there's something else that was there. There's something else that was coming up in Texas, but I don't like to speak about things that are not 100% yet. But those that, you know what I mean? But the online store, the brand, and yeah, and the release party for the store and the product, that is happening. So yeah, man, I got some videos. Shout out Terminology. We got something in the works. Shout out Sound Lab. We're gonna be doing something for just focusing on these songs and just pushing this album, man. And yeah, that's what's happening right now.
So you also circle back to the album. You talk about, you know, hell, you rhyme about, you have positive concepts, but you also have concepts where you're kind of like in the trap rapping from that perspective as well, right? Talk to me about that balance, because that's got to be kind of a thin line to walk across.
I'm doing it right now. I'm preparing. I always feel conviction when I say this. I'm preparing freestyle. See, we come from the era where freestyle meant you was rapping off the top. But I'm
Absolutely.
preparing a couple of things for radio shows and stuff like that. And it's like, I know the oohs and the ahs and you know what I mean, like to rap. And then it's like, I've lived both sides. And when you hear me rapping like that, if you listen very closely, one person was picking me apart, and I was like, see, you're only listening to the punchline, but you're not listening to the adjectives. And I'm not like a English clash master, but there's certain words where this is past tense. I'm talking about something from past tense, and that can come off as I'm not rapping as if I'm active in these activities, but it's like, you know what I mean? That Tupac curse. You'll hear Dear Mama, and then you'll hear Hit 'em Up. You know what I mean? And it's like, I do rap about, I come from that hip hop, man. You know what I mean? The bars, the gritty beat, like, you know what I mean? That's what I like listening to. So that's what I grew up like making the music. I understand marketing and the type of music that we got to put out for the image and the brand, but what Eric likes to listen to, the music that he likes those, you know, 48, 50 bars, just you know what I mean? The bars and the metaphors and stuff like that. Like, that's what I like doing. So some people ridicule me for it, but my heart's always in the right place, and I'm speaking past tense, and I'm not talking from an active standpoint. You know?
Enough said.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time, bro. I really appreciate you making some space for us, some time. And
Nah, man, you know what I mean? Anything, man. Leeds, hit me up, man. You know, I respond quick. I know who you are in the city and the legend that's behind your name out here and the work that Leeds has put in. As I told you, I've watched it through the whole time, man. So
Thank you.
called, man. I'm there.
Word, man. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the Leedz Edutainment Podcast with a very special guest, EXITFAME, bro. We'll talk soon.
You already know. Exit hell out now. All right.
All right. Peace.
My God.